this story. This is a true story, and this occurred about 18 to 19 years ago. So it was a weekday afternoon, and my phone rings. And of course, back then, we still had the flip phones. We didn't have these type of phones. It was a flip phone. So I look at it, and the first thing I do is, do you recognize the number? Of course, everybody does that, right? I don't recognize the number, and the first thing that goes through my mind is, what a relief, because I thought it was one of my tenants, right? So I didn't want to talk to any of my tenants, so it's like, oh, thank God, it's not one of my tenants, I don't have to deal with anything. But for whatever reason, I went ahead and answered the phone. I don't know why, but I just did. So I answer the phone, and on the other end of the phone, this gentleman says, do you own the property at 123 Street? First thing goes through my mind is, oh, son of a bitch, I got another problem with one of my rentals, right? That's the first thing that goes through my mind. So now I don't want to tell this gentleman that I own this property, obviously, because I don't know where this conversation is going. And so I do what anybody did, and I can't just say, no, I don't own it, because I actually did own the property. So I did what anybody would have done, what you guys would have done, and I just said, why? That's literally what I said. Now you know, and he knows, that I own the property now, because otherwise I wouldn't have said why, right? So I gave it away anyway, that I was the owner, but I said, why? He comes back and he says, well, I live right next door to your property, and two things. One is the fence that separates our properties has fallen down and is laying on the ground. And number two is your new tenant that just moved in less than 2 months ago is not taking good care of your property, and I thought you should be aware of that. All right. Just like any of you that own rentals, the first thing goes through your mind is like, oh my God, what kind of mess am I going to be dealing with now? Now keep in mind, at this point in time, we only had about, I think this was our third or fourth rental property. So they were all leveraged, and we weren't making a ton of money. I did not have the money to make any major repairs, and this individual just moved in a couple of months ago. So I'm sitting here almost in panic mode as soon as I get off the phone is, what am I going to do? If this fence really fell down, I don't have the funds to fix it. I don't have the reserves to fix it. And if this lady who just moved in 2 months ago, if she's tearing up the house, what am I going to do about it? I can't afford to fix this, right? So all this is going through my head. I call the resident up, I call the tenant. I speak to her, I say, hey, so I just got this phone call. I'm informed that the fence between our two properties, between your neighbor and the property you're living in, has fallen down. Is this an accurate statement? She goes, yes, a portion of the fence has fallen down. So when I heard that, it was almost like a relief. It was like, oh, it's only a portion of the fence, so that's a little bit better than dealing with the entire fence. So I'm almost relieved. But then I said, you know what, I'm gonna come by tomorrow morning around 10 a.m., and I'm gonna be checking out the fence, and while I'm there, I'm gonna go ahead and walk through the property. I didn't tell her that what the neighbor told me. I just said, I'm gonna do basically an inspection. I'll walk through the property. So fast forward, the next morning, 10 a.m., I drive up to the property. Now the way the property, I pull up to the property this way. The property is on my left-hand side, so I'm parked across the street in front of the property across the street. So I get out, and the first thing I see is the fence. And second thing is, like most tenants, she lied. It wasn't a portion of the fence, unless she wanted to consider the entire block, because the entire fence was down between our two properties. I know I'm already in trouble before I even walk up to the door, right? So I walk up to the door, ring the doorbell. She answers the door. I say, well, I'm here. I see the fence. Unfortunately, it's the whole fence. It's not a portion of the fence. I'll deal with that. But now I need to do an inspection of the property. She invites me in. I walk into the house. Now, the way this house is designed is I walk in, and there's a living room, and there's the great room. So it's a huge open room. On the right-hand side is the kitchen, like a formal dining room area, and then the kitchen is kind of around the corner. Over to the left is a hallway. If you walk down the hallway, this is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. So if you walk down the hallway, on the left-hand side is a bedroom, then you turn at a 90-degree angle and you walk down, hit a couple other bedrooms, a bathroom, then you get to the master bedroom. So I step into the house, and the first thing that I notice is like, what's that smell? I was like, I don't know, is she fixing something for breakfast? What is this? I'm not quite sure exactly what this smell is, but I don't bring it up yet. So I walk in, but I'm curious. So I said, okay, so I look to the right to see if I could see something, if something was being cooked in the kitchen or something, and nothing's going on. So, okay. But for whatever reason, I decided to start my tour on the left. Now she's walking in front of me, so she's probably about 5 to 6 feet in front of me, walking down the hallway, and I'm walking down the hallway behind her. The first thing I see is that, and remember, she's only been in this house for less than 2 months. First thing I see is that the hallways are already scratched up to hell. The paint's all scratched up, and I look, and the first bedroom door to the first bedroom, there's a hole in it. So I know I'm already, this is not good. This is not good at all. But as I continue to walk down the hallway, what is that? That smell is getting stronger and stronger, and I can't figure out what it is. We turn around the corner. We continue to go up. At this point, the smell starts becoming so overwhelming that I can't pay attention to what else is wrong with the house, right? I'm just sitting there trying to determine, what is this smell? Now, I gotta let you guys know, I have an extremely weak stomach, okay? Like if my dog goes to the restroom, I'm losing my breakfast, okay? So I have an extremely weak stomach, so I'm very, very sensitive to smell. Now, as we get closer and closer to the master bedroom, the smell is getting stronger. And then she opens the master bedroom door. The stench that came from that bedroom was so overwhelming that it overtook me. I am literally gagging in the hallway. I turn around and I physically run out of the house as fast as I possibly can. And I'm outside, I'm in the front yard between my car across the street and the door of this house. I'm literally in the front yard, and I'm trying to not lose my breakfast. I'm sitting here, and I literally have tears running down my face because it just overwhelmed me. Now, part of the tears was because of the smell, and I'm trying to keep my breakfast. The other part of the tears is because I'm sitting there wondering, what am I going to do? I don't have the ability to handle the situation. Prior to this, you also got to know that we had already used not one, but 2 property management companies. So property management company number 1, we had to fire. We hired another one. Property management company number 2 was worse than property management company number 1, so we had to fire them even faster. So we made the decision to self-manage our properties. Now I did what everybody else did. I went and read the books and went and listened to people and thought I was doing everything right. But here I find myself, right here, in front of the yard, sitting here figuring, how in the world am I gonna pay for this? How am I gonna handle this tenant? Now I gotta get this tenant out, and I don't have any money. I don't have the money to afford to do this. And I'm sitting here. Now I have 2 options at this point. I could either make a run for it, make a mad dash to the car, and just drive away and try to figure this out, or I could turn around and I look through the right-hand side through my eyesight, and there she is standing in the doorway looking at me like, what's wrong? You know, as if nothing was wrong whatsoever. And I'm sitting here, what do I do? What do I do? Maybe this business just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And those numbers, that was literally going through my mindset at that point in time. Maybe I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I was sold a bill of goods, because we got rental properties for passive income. That's why we got rental properties, and I'm sitting here thinking, well, first of all, I'm not getting any income, and the sure the heck isn't passive. So I was 0 for 2, right? How many of you have ever felt that way? Just, okay, yeah, I knew. If you own properties, you've been there. If you haven't had it long enough or enough of them. So you will get to that point. And I heard Eddie speak on stage yesterday talking about, you know, the real benefit of rental properties is appreciation. I do agree with that, but I also know that if you run the properties properly, you can't cash flow. But at this point in time, I did not know that. I didn't know what to do. So do I leave the business? What do I do? Now, with that said, I'm Greg Slaughter. Don't worry, I will finish the story. But I do want to